Get started on our daily quest for the day. Here are the 5 fraction to percent conversions that you need to have memorized. These are the ones that are going to make your life easiest if you can have them memorized without having to do long division. For the rest of the conversions, we need to convert between fractions, decimals, and percents. Now, we either need to convert between a fraction down to one of the 5 that we have memorized, or we need to remember that percent means per 100. And so we need to turn it into tenths, hundredths, or thousandths so that we can get it to per century or per 100. For the top fraction, 2/8, the easiest conversion would be down by dividing by 2 into 1/4. 1/4 is the same as 25% because that's on our list, and 25% means 25 hundredths. If I think of 1/4 out of 4 would be worth 25 cents. 75 hundredths is very similar because 75 hundredths is 3 times bigger than 25 hundredths. So this would be 3/4. And 3/4 should be 3 times bigger than 25%, so 75%. Now, 50% we know is the same as 50 hundredths, or the decimal 50 hundredths. And 50 hundredths is the same as a half, and a half of 100% is 50%. And our last problem, we can divide the numerator and denominator by 2 to get our simplified fraction of 1 and 2/5. Well, 1/5 is 20%. Therefore, 2/5 is 40%. So this is 100% plus an extra 40%. You also could know that 4/10 is the same as 40 hundredths. Therefore, 1 and 40 hundredths, 140%. Now let's make our list of which is the largest and smallest, write them in order. I still think that turning them to percents is the easiest route here. So 30% stays as 30%. 1 and 62 hundredths turns into 162%. 2/3 is one that we're supposed to have memorized because 1/3 is about 33%. So 2/3 is about 66 or 67% if we're rounding up. And 2 and 25 hundredths is 2 and 225 extra percent, or 225%. So to write them in order from smallest to largest, we start with our 30%, which stayed as 30%. Next biggest is 67%, which is 2/3. Next biggest is 162%. And then our largest is over here. Let's move to the story problems. On a recent test, Lucas got 48 questions correct and 2 questions wrong. Great job. That's really good. What was his overall grade? So we know that a percent is asking for part out of total. And if he got 48 questions correct, that's 48 out of 50 total, not 48 out of 2. And that would be the same as if I multiplied both of these numbers by 2. That would give me 96 out of 100. And percent means per 100, meaning that Lucas got a 96%. On to the next one. Danica played Prodigy over the weekend, and did 200 questions. She earned 15 SPs for it. Good job, Danica. If she got 180 of the questions correct, was her overall percentage above the 80% required to pass? Why? All right, so she did 200 questions total, and she got 180 of them correct. So that would be 180 out of the 200 total. From here, we need to make it percent or per 100. So this time, we're going to simplify by dividing instead of multiplying. 180 divided by 2 is the same thing as 18 divided by 2 times 10. So that would be 90. And 200 divided by 2, is equal to 100. 90% is equal to 90 hundredths is equal to 90%, And so the question is asking, was her overall percentage above the 80% required to pass? And we say yes. She scored 90%, which is above the 80% she needed. And on to the last one. Mr. Schmidt doesn't eat breakfast very often, even though he loves pancakes and bacon together. Those are awesome. If last week he ate breakfast on Monday and Wednesday, what percent of the days did he eat breakfast? So we know that there are 7 days in a week. I hope we know that there are 7 days in a week. And I ate breakfast on 2 of the 7 days. Now this time, 2/7 cannot be easily converted into tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. So we need to do our long division. And remember, with long division, we work inside out. 2 divided by 7. And we add our zeros because we're looking for percentages, so it's likely to not be exact. And once again, I'm going to go quickly through our long division because we've done a ton of these long division problems before. So this will be 8. 56, as my friend 50 Cent would say. This is 5. And it keeps going on. I like to round to the hundredths place. So this will round up to 29%. And because we rounded, we need to use our magic math word of about. On about 29% of the week. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know.